Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network podcast, brought to you by PlayNFC.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Network. We've got a live stream tonight, RotoWire Online Championship. It's the Beat Chris List number 3 league. Now, I know you've screwed up those first 2 leagues, and that's why you needed a third one, right?
I'm really pleased with those first 2 leagues, and I even got a good grade, from some of my guys, which is rare. Usually they're trying to dunk on how bad of a job I did, but they couldn't really critique it very well because they're such masterpieces. And I know that you were trying to critique it, but I saw that you didn't get specific because you had nothing really to say about it. But this one, you know what? I drew the 9th pick. It was like my 4th or 5th choice. And in retrospect, I think after 12, 11, 10, I should have gone, toward the front because actually I don't love what I'm looking at ADP wise. Of course, there's always surprises in these drafts. And then the other bad luck is Matt Modica is drafting, I think, 8th. I'm drafting 9th. And then Joe Nowiak's drafting 10th. Both those guys subscribe to realmansports.com and they read all the stuff I write. Like, I'm not taking these guys. I'm definitely taking these guys. So the guys on both sides know exactly what I'm going to do each round. It's pretty bad.
Well, it ought to be a lot of fun then. So, hey, you are having some success in baseball, and I guess it's because you got Dustin Wagner as your partner to take care of things. But congrats so far. I kind of tried to jinx you, but you said you did the counter jinx before me, so it wore it off, right?
No, I jinxed by even posting it in August, right? I mean, that's dumb. Yeah. But I couldn't resist because, in May we were in like 11th, 12th, 13th place. Dustin's done a great job. He's just the pitching. I drafted great hitting for him, but my pitching was horrendous. And he has just done a masterful job. He kind of tank saves a bit and got us a lot of points and wins and strikeouts. And knock on wood, we still got another month and a half, but we're gaining. Every week it's like every outing our pitchers are lights out, and it's just crazy, and people are getting crushed. So we're like 68th overall or something like that. But I don't think the overall is in play because our saves are kind of low.
Yeah, well, pretty cool. But it does help to have someone who is doing fab every single week and on top of everything, right? I mean, it's a long baseball season, and we know football is long as well. But it sure helps to have somebody doing that, right?
Never going back. Like I'm totally cool with like February, March, like doing a lot of research, getting up on it, I know how to draft. I get ready for the draft. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. But I can't deal with like keeping track of every team in the majors all year long. Yeah. And Dusty's on it anyway. And I'm never going back. Never going back. I've enjoyed this year. I solved it. I solved the problem, Greg. The problem with baseball, look, baseball should have 50 million people playing it. Okay. It's the most fun fantasy sport. People love football because I can do football. It's easy. It's once a week. It's no big deal. But baseball's the best sport. And if you had something like this, now you can play. You do the work, you get to draft, and you get all the enjoyment of watching your players play. It's great.
I agree with you. It's like, why aren't more people running marathons? Because it's too long. Get them a 100-yard dash. Yeah, count me in. I'll do one on Sunday, right?
I'm like the guy, on the 25th mile, the 1500th meter, waiting for the guy to come in, and I do the sprint with the guy.
Speaking of a great sprinter, we just added Darik Buchar. You're a sprinter. You're not a marathon guy, right, Darik?
I'm definitely not a marathon guy. I'm a big fan of the sprint. So it looks like I got my internet back, at least for a while. I got a hard out at 5 Central. I didn't realize we have a parents meeting for football, so I got an hour here. So
no problem. Chris will have crushed it after an hour.
For sure.
No problem.
How you doing, Les?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Darik?
Great.
All right, so here's the beauty of the internet. You're in Portugal. You're in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm in the farthest northern part of Wisconsin. Darik is in the Minneapolis area, and here we are talking about a fantasy football draft.
It's great that I can do this from where I am, and of course, I look forward to a draft. I'm looking forward to this, even though I was saying my slot is crap. This is a crap slot. But we'll see. There's a lot. The thing is, like one thing I did, I wrote on this. We're going to start in a second. Is I always just like print out the latest ADP from the last couple of days. 10, 15 leagues worth of ADP, and then I sort it by position. And then I look, on the. I like how you can display it on the overall grid, and I just say like, who am I going to be looking at round by round,
right?
And I get like an idea. So I'm not, you don't want to like be at the end of the clock. You want to be like decisive, right, when it's your pick. And so I've got that. But then there's surprises, right? Like there's guys that fall that you had no idea that would fall, and then you've got decisions to make.
Yeah. This has been a wild season. Darik, you've been watching a lot of drafts. This RotoWire Online Championship, Bijan's moving up. Amon-Ra St. Brown is moving up, right? The beginning's pretty much the same, Jefferson, Chase, but we're seeing guys move up, right?
Yeah, you will. It's that time. People are planting their flags, middle of August, so it's time to start doing that. I've seen Bijan go as high as 2 in these, So and then saw it the cut line last night. I saw it in a best ball football guys draft too. So as people are getting their guys.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, you got Bijan, I think, in one of your earlier ones, right? Because Seslowski made you take him, I think.
I know he's been talking me into him. Now it's making me worry. I think, is this my idea or someone else telling me, the idea? And then I think it's my idea. And then the guy's terrible. And then at least I have someone to blame if it goes wrong. But I don't want someone to blame. I want to win the league. And so I think I like him. I mean, I'm not a college football guy, so I don't really know the rookies the way the guys who watch college football do. But I guess I just, I watch some clips and I sort of like try to read between the lines of the hype and the situation he's in. Eckler went third. That's a kind of a surprise. And I'm in, I mean, the rookie running backs, if they get the work, if they don't have to prove themselves, which I don't think will, they're never better than when they come into the league. I mean, maybe they get better at pass pro or something like that. But like in terms of just running the football, they'll never be better than their rookie season.
Fresh legs, right? Fresh legs.
I remember that when Saquon came in, I was all over Saquon right away. Greg and Tom didn't believe me. He was going to be a first round pick by the end. And he definitely was. Yeah. We're going to see the Bijan go above and beyond where Saquon. We already are, but I feel we're going to see some guys plant Bijan at number 1 when we get to the big money drafts. No one's doing it yet, but I got a feeling we're going to see that coming.
That would be interesting, but I agree. When we get to the live events, you'll see guys getting pushed up. All right, Chris, we're seeing some surprises already here, right? Eckler at 3, Hill at 4, Brown at 5. Go get your guys.
Hey, I was looking at AJ Brown at 9. I was like, oh, I'll take AJ Brown if he's there. Probably. There's McCaffrey at 6, which is the latest I've seen him go.
All right, you like a 9 right now or not?
Yeah, I'm liking it fine. Although, I'm gonna have a choice that I don't want to have. Just take this guy off the board so I don't have to think about it, please. I got Kelsey sitting there, but I'm not going to take him. I'm not going to take him, and I will take. I think I'm going to take Bijan.
I love it.
Oh, is Bijan gone?
No, he's there.
He's still there. You got to scroll down a little bit.
Scroll down. Here. I'm going to take Bijan. I'll explain this later. I was going to take a wide receiver, but at the last minute I changed my mind, and I'll get into this. I don't want to spoil it. There's Kelsey going to 10, which is pretty late for Kelsey.
Yep, definitely. So Team 8 is a guy who subscribes to Chris's cheat sheets, and Team 10, so he's trying to keep his guard here. He's boxed in, if you will.
Well, one of them is Modica, right? And I think both these guys, actually, Joe also, they don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like I mean, they know, so it's like a bit of an advantage that they have this knowledge of what I might do, but they're not going to they might troll me later in the draft if they know I like somebody, but I don't think they're going to their first 5 picks going to take somebody they don't want.
Right.
Just to, I would do that to somebody, but I don't think they would do that.
Real men do that, right?
Yeah, real men just the draft just to upset somebody else.
All right, here we get through round 1. We've got 4 running backs here. An interesting round 1 as well. Cooper Kupp goes to 8, Bijan Robinson 9, Travis Kelce at 10. Let's see what the stacks are like. Chris, I did some data. I put it on Twitter. Burrow Chase has been a stack in 27% of all RotoWire Online Championship leagues.
Yeah, I'm not really. I mentioned this I actually quote tweeted one of your tweets, which is that everybody's stacking because, of course, people who watch this probably know Pollard. That's interesting. I love that these guys are just doing their thing.
Yep.
But the stacks are a thing, but because in the NFFC it's really about weeks 15 through 17, that 3-week playoff and of course correlation is important. It's like a DFS tournament. If you have the QB and the wide receiver, then you're getting double points and only one event has to happen for that to happen. So it's easier to get both of those rather than get 2 separate events to happen for you. Your receiver catches, your quarterback throws. Yep. But if everybody's doing this, then you're going to have 50 teams with this Burrow Chase stack, and there's CeeDee Lamb, who I definitely would have taken in round 2.
Yep.
But he doesn't last that long.
There you go. Right there's the Kelce Mahomes stack.
Yeah. But there's going to be a lot of that. So not only do you have to have that stack. Oh, and I'm up, and this is perfect because I'm going to take Garrett Wilson, who I wasn't sure would be here. So now this worked out, and this is why. And there was one other receiver, but I'm not going to talk yet until he goes. This is why I took Bijan. I wanted to take CeeDee Lamb or A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown went way earlier, but usually they're both there. I wanted to take CeeDee Lamb, but I thought, you know what? In the later rounds, there's going to be more receivers that I like than running backs in the next couple of rounds. So I thought I better take Bijan because the structure of my team's going to be better this way. But I easily could have started, CeeDee Lamb and Garrett Wilson, but I went Robinson Wilson.
Yeah, I was going to say, was Wilson still would have been your second round pick if you had taken CeeDee Lamb?
Yes, unless there was Waddle. Okay, and there's Waddle. Okay, so Modica takes Waddle, and I hadn't even mentioned Waddle. He was my fallback. So I thought Wilson's usually gone at this point, but I'm happy with Waddle. I realized Waddle's going a little too late. I think he could be in there with CeeDee Lamb and Wilson and Amon-Ra. I think he belongs in that tier. And then there's a drop off. So Cup Waddle's a good start for Modica too. I'm not supposed to dox him because it's a blank board.
Oh, you can. Team 12 is interesting. And Derek, you watch an awful lot of these. Team 12 seems to be a lot of like 4 wide receivers, a quarterback. It's almost the no running back spot, if you will. Team 11 is starting out that way with 2 wide receivers. I don't see a lot of back-to-back running backs at Team 12. Do you?
Trying to think, not as much. I mean, you see it more at like 10, right? 9 to 10, you see it because sometimes you'll see a Barkley Chubb pairing. Bijan if he's lasting that long. But yeah, usually you're right on the 12. People kind of slam the wide receivers, or they'll do an AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, right? If AJ Brown makes it there. Yeah. Interesting that you do mention that you were talking about the Burrow Chase stack. That when we started these back in May, you had to do that in the first 2 rounds. Burrow was actually up into the second round as QB4 at that point. Yeah. And then later you were starting to see it, you get Chase second or third, and then you'd actually be able to slide somebody in there in between them and get them in first and third. And now with regularity, you're seeing because of the Chase news, or the Burrow news with the injury, you're seeing a lot of Chase, 2 guys, and Burrow in the 4th round. So it's interesting to see how that stack has slid, Yeah.
Well, like you said,
we saw no Kelsey Mahomes. You couldn't get Kelsey Mahomes in the first month and a half.
Just going to say, Kelsey Mahomes right now is 18.8% of all RotoWires, but a lot of that is recently because people are getting Kelsey Mahomes at 10, even at 6, even at 7. Before, they weren't getting Mahomes that late, right? He was going way too early at the turn a lot of times. So Team 7 chose not to do the Diggs Allen, at least not right now.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a real drop if Allen falls all the way back to him in round 3, but it could happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will, but you're right. Yeah, Adams goes at pick 19 here. That's kind of interesting, right? I mean, he did get dinged up a little bit the other day in camp. Is that why he dropped here, you think?
I mean, I don't really want him. I'm always out on him, and he's always good, but I didn't want him because last year, at least, like when he left Rodgers, he had Carr, who he played in college with. Now he's got like a broken down Garoppolo who may last 4 or 5 games. And then what? Right. Devontae's getting older and the Raiders may be a disaster. Now their defense might be bad. There may be shootouts, but I don't know. It just seems like I'm out on that.
I'm with you.
I agree for the exact same reasons. I don't trust the QB situation there at all. And there's too many other guys going around there that I feel much, much better about.
Yep. I said this to Tom as well. I think they're just going to double team him all year long. I mean, what are they worried about? Renfro getting a first down? There's just nobody to take the top off of that defense or the defense. So I think the safety is going to be over him all game long. Yeah. All right, there goes Allen at pick 24, and Hurts goes at 23. Team 11 was hoping to start out, I think. Or no, not Team 11. Who is it? Oh, Brown. Yeah, he passed on him. Team 5 passed on Hurts. So maybe he didn't want that stack of Brown and Hurts after all.
Well, I got Devontae Smith. So he's stacking the receivers, but you can't get all 3. It's just not possible to get all 3.
I didn't see that. That is a good stack right off the start.
But it's not really a stack, right? Because it's okay. I would have taken Ridley. I love Ridley. I got him in the 4th round in the first one, and I was happy to take him in the 3rd here, but it's not going to happen apparently.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you a general question. Just being over in Portugal now, in Europe, I guess if you're away from the United States, do you still get like the inundation that we get daily with all the camp news, or do you maybe you have to search it? Obviously, you have the internet, so you can get information. But is it different drafting now that you're over there than it was in years past?
It's the most different. No, not being here, because when I was at RotoWire, I was inundated with everything. it was leaving RotoWire where, you know, I was on the radio 2 hours a day talking about all these guys. And I thought you think that was an advantage? There we go. Henry goes, all right. So now I got a choice here. So I'm going to interrupt myself and figure this out. You know what? I've done this every draft and I'm overdoing this. Too much of this one guy. But I'm going to do it. It's just the guy I like here. I don't love it. I just think it's solid. And I'm going to take DK Metcalf for the 3rd out of 3. Be Chris List draft. So I just think, you know, he's in the absolute prime of his career. I know they drafted Njigba, but I just feel like he's going to get, you know, his 85 catches and his 10 touchdowns, and that's that. And it's a 3rd round. So I don't know. I was really hoping for Ridley, though. I think there's more upside with Ridley, more ceiling.
Did you get Metcalf in the 3rd round in the other 2 as well?
All three
in the 3rd round. Yeah.
Difference was I got Ridley in the 4th, which was really nice, but
you should have quit while you were ahead when you did that.
That was good.
All right. So talk about how you say being on the radio wasn't an advantage. It seems
disadvantage.
Why?
It seems like it because you're spending so much time thinking about it. But it's actually bad because, like, I really believe, you know, you watch a lot of football like I do for 40 years, 50 years, whatever, and you understand football, you know who the players are, and you have your leans. You just have your hunches about guys, right? Yeah. And then you're forced to talk about all these guys. And what happens is, like, you like the guys you like. There's a few guys you really like. There's a few guys you really don't like at ADP. And then everybody else, you're like, whatever. I don't have a strong opinion. And those, like, likes and dislikes are what make or break your year every year. And it's just your instinct of watching this and observing and your, you know, whatever you think. And then you're forced to be like, oh, last year, Cortland Sutton, you know, he could really be good. You know, he's in, you know, Russell Wilson's there now. And all these people, Allen Robinson is in the Rams. Like, and all these people are talking these guys up and making the arguments, and you're making the arguments and, you know, and talking about it. And by you know, a month into it, your mind is mush. You don't have any instincts anymore. You're just like, you have a million data points about for and against every single player. ADP sitting there, and you're like, well, they're all kind of 3rd rounders, you know. And it just, your mind turns to mush. But here, I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to think about it except what I want. I pick the guys I like, I draft them, and I stick with it. And then, you know, I live and die with it. And it's just, to me, it's just made it a lot simpler than having to talk about it.
In other words, being on the radio, you can talk yourself into guys that you didn't really consider because you looked at a few stats, you've been hearing people talk about them, you've talked yourself into them now, right?
At each ADP, there's a case for and against the guy. That's
right.
What makes it that ADP, right? I mean, it's that argument for and against, you know, condenses at that spot, right? That's where, like, the equilibrium is the for and against. But, you know, that's just the market's opinion. That's just other people's opinion. So you end up just adopting the market's opinion. You have no conviction anymore. So I have more conviction these last couple of years.
All right, Team 4 and Team 11 are the ones that are starting kind of a no RB, if you will, but getting those 3 wide receivers. Again, we've talked about this, Darik, an awful lot. If you can get these 3 very good receivers, they can average 20 points per game, you know, 18 to 20. All of a sudden, you got 60 points from these guys. And there are some sweet spots for running backs in rounds 5, 6, and 7. Obviously, question marks there, but they have the ability. So this is not uncommon for us to see 3 wide receivers to start out, correct?
Not uncommon at all. In fact, you're going to see plenty of guys probably go. Maybe they slide a quarterback or a tight end in there, but they'll have wide receiver 5 by round 8. I've seen so many teams this year, guys that I enjoy watching drafting, and they'll have 1 running back, a quarterback, a tight end if they actually go up into the top 7 or 8 tight ends, and the rest will be yellow. So they'll have their 5th wide receiver. I know most of these guys are obviously looking to start 4 wide receivers every week, 1 in the flex spot, because that's just the way a lot of them do it. So honestly, the best builds I've seen so far have started out kind of what Liz has done so far. Get that 1 running back that you love, and then you just go until you feel like you need to take another one. So if I have a Bijan Robinson, and you know I'm very, very, very high on Bijan, but I feel Bijan's a 55 catch guy at minimum. I feel like that's almost his floor this year. So you're adding that on top of all just watching that guy run. And I'm like, Chris, I'm not the biggest college guy around, but I do know when there's guys like Barkley and Bijan that I've seen, you can tell there's just an eye test thing there, and it's just better than everyone on the field. So there's, again, tons of ways to skin the cat, and we see them all, and we see some version of every one of them in every different draft, right? So although we haven't seen any 3 running back starts in this one, I've seen that too. People will do that. So again, that's the beauty of the RotoWire contest, is we're going to see 48 100 teams at the minimum, and there's going to be, a lot of similar builds, but ways to build it, and you can still do some unique stuff.
Yeah, I like to call it the hero running back build. I don't know if Chris is going to end up doing that, but that's what you're talking about. Is you get that one running back, now you bang the wide receivers, you get a quarterback, and you worry about that RB2 later. Because think about it, that RB2 is going to be what, 13 points a game, 14 points a game. So don't stress over it. Go get those wide receivers with a lot of upside, right?
Well,
I've been doing that a little bit. One of them I did that with Bijan. No, I did Bijan Barkley, that one. The other one I did it with I can't remember. I had Kenny Walker. I went 3 straight receivers and took Kenneth Walker and Miles Sanders. But that's why I took Bijan, because I knew in 2 and 3 there'd be receivers I like better than the running. And I didn't want to go 3 receivers because I didn't want to be looking for my first running back now. And I got in a little bit of a hole. I took Walker in round 4 also in my draft. I thought that was pushing him up a bit, but it was like, if you needed the running back, you got to take him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll see how you make your build here. We're advising you on how you should do it. All right, so lay off that running back too. If I see a green sticker here before round 15, I'm going to be upset. All right.
You're going to make me want to take it just to spite you. But
that's how you always have been. You know that? Hey, we got a quick question for you before you make your pick here.
Sure.
Who's the Hound equivalent for the NFL?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have one really. The Hound it wasn't like I thought Bassett would be good. It was like I literally saw a Hound when I was thinking about whether to draft him. And then I saw another Hound the next day. And then also, as I pick up the dog poop in the bag, there's a garbage can. I always take one shot, from like 10 feet away. And I just drained it, perfect. And I thought, this is a good sign. So I took him in all these leagues.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for picking up your dog's poop, because not everybody does that.
Portugal, it's terrible.
Do that.
Terrible.
Really? Yeah. Up
All
here
right,
in Wisconsin,
I know I'm taking here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Up in Wisconsin, they just leave it there because it's going to freeze and you'll be able to kick it in a couple of days anyway. So, All right. Hey, occasional feel good says real man takes Danny Dimes here in the 4th round.
A real man would take Danny Dimes, but I am going to take someone else.
Joe Burrow falls all the way down.
I'm going to take someone else who, I'm glad Christian Watson went. I have him in all 3 leagues like Metcalf, and it's like too much. But I'm going to take this guy, Chris Godwin, because I just think he was one of the league's best receivers, and then he tore his ACL and he, came back and he wasn't that great. And it's just a question of whether Baker is just that minimum level of over the threshold of competence to support a receiver, because it's just him and Mike Evans. There's nobody else there. Yeah. So there's no reason he can't catch 95 passes and have a monster year. So
there is, if Baker Mayfield overthrows him 95 times.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. He just has to be that minimum level guy, but it's not doesn't take much, to support a top receiver.
Well, I think Godwin was one of the top wide receivers, if not the top wide receiver from week 6 on or something like that, as far as receptions were concerned. So he was solid, but he had a much better quarterback. So we'll see if Baker can be competent or not. Hey, I like the Team 8 build here. Starts out with 3 wide receiver. If that's Matt, that's a nice start there. Burrow falling in the 4th round. I like that start.
Yeah, he's got the what is somebody I saw
T. Higgins Burrow.
Interesting. The Burrow Higgins. Burrow Higgins stack. Somebody called it a really unique name because it's not Chase and Burrow, it's Higgins and Burrow. They had I gotta look it up. It was a great name for like the secondary type of stack. Your QB and the second guy.
Don't tell me Tom created something good that you can't remember. Come on. Yeah, it's interesting, Chris, on either side of you, because Team 10 doesn't have a wide receiver yet. Both you and Matt at 8 have 3 wide receivers.
Yep, I'm good. I feel good. I feel like I got where that part of the draft where I like the guys I'm looking at. That's what I always try to do early. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, where do I want to be drafting? Where is it going to be easy? See how fast I'm picking? I don't want to think about it. I want to just know, who to take. Now, Kelsey dropped to me at 9. I could have taken him. I don't want a 34-year-old tight end in the 1st round. I'm sorry. I know he's, the greatest stat producing tight end of all time. I mean, Gronk may be the greatest real tight end, but the greatest stat producing tight end of all time is Kelsey, but he's 34. And you don't take a tight end in the 1st round anyway, typically. Yeah. So you're taking a 34-year-old tight end. I mean, think about that a couple of years ago, the idea of that.
Yeah, let's admit a 34-year-old tight end who's been partying an awful lot this offseason. I mean, every time I see him, he's either drunk and wants to make a speech or going to be drunk and wants to make a speech.
All right. So
Yeah.
this is immediate snap call, right?
Oh.
Darren Waller. Now he's moved up. I got him in round like late 6 last
I
time.
know, but it's a homer pick. You know it's a homer pick.
Yeah, but look, you like those receivers in PPR that get 150 targets and catch 85, 90 balls? It's the same thing. All he has to do is stay healthy. He's gonna be used like those receivers are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, Brandon,
he's the number one target on that team. That's for sure. He's my tight end. He's actually my tight end 2 overall this year.
Me too. Me too.
I just love, especially where you're getting him, because a lot of times, he's starting off. He was tight end 6 or 7. Now he's moving up to 3 or 4. Pretty.
Yeah.
I never see Kittle go before him anymore. I never see Goddard go before him anymore. So you got to pull the trigger in the 5th to get Darren Waller at this point, or you're not going to get him.
Yeah, and I mean, Kittle is injury prone and he's hurt right now, so I can see why Waller's going ahead of him.
That is a late pick from Lamar Jackson. Wow, late 5th.
Wow,
that is like mid 5th. Is like he goes in the 3rd sometimes. So,
Yep.
But what do you guys think about these quarterbacks going off the board so early? I mean, to me, it's like last year it was 100% worth it, but people got those guys cheap. Now they're paying for last year's production.
Yep.
And it's like it used to be that everyone wait on quarterback. Everyone knows you don't take a quarterback in the 4th round unless it's like, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes went in the 5th and 6th last year.
Yep.
And now everyone's pushing these guys up. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're in a new paradigm and this is the thing to do, but I'm not doing it. I don't see it.
Well, I mean, I'll address that. So the Lamar got the Andrews hook up there. He passed on Lamar in round 4, didn't want the hook up, but he got the hook up there. So Andrews, Jackson, and that one, let me just look that one up real quick. 20% of all leagues have that hookup. Herbert and Williams, the team 12, is a hookup as well. So kind of interesting there. As far as the quarterbacks, those top 4 last year scored 30 or 32 points a game. And the next tier was like 24. So the difference was 6 points per. Now we're not playing on last year's stats, but that's
right.
what everybody's
Unfortunately
going on,
for them. That's what I mean. Unfortunately, yeah. If I could just pick last year's guys, it'd be a lot easier.
But that's why they're doing it. But remember, Mahomes Kelsey hookup was a 5th round pick and a 2nd round pick last year, right? That was not a 1st and a 2nd round pick.
Right.
So that's how you got that hookup.
Won you the league if you got that. I don't think these jokes are very funny that Comeback Kid is making. He's calling Darren Waller the Lance Lynn of the NFL, and that's a sore subject for me. So
let me put that back up there just in case somebody didn't see it.
Too soon.
Look at this, 4 quarterbacks here in round 5. So they're going off the board. Again, we got like the top 8 quarterbacks, and a lot of people want to get one of those top 8. Can I ask you, Chris? You're
Sure.
not getting one of those. So have you been waiting on quarterbacks?
The first 2 I did, and I liked how it turned out. So yeah, there's a lot of good guys. I mean, people start doubling up on quarterbacks. So when you're playing chicken too long, they kind of punish you a little bit.
Yeah.
But even then, there's still guys, and you get a little nervous, but I just think like the thing not to do is to panic and get one because they're start to double up and you end up not getting all the value. You want to wait till a lot later and really get those guys cheap. And so then even if they are scoring, 25 a game and those guys are getting 35 a game, you're okay because you waited so long.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Addison goes round 5. Well, anybody who can drive 128 miles an hour, I think he's got to go in the 5th round. Don't you
real
think,
man.
Eric?
It's a real.
I think it was 140 actually.
Yeah.
Well, again, anyone who can drive 128 should be in the 5th. If he went higher than that, then maybe he's a 4th round pick. But 128, I mean, that's a real man, right, Chris?
128 is decent, but 140 is real man.
Yeah, that's getting up there.
I have never had a car that could go 140. I'll say that.
I drove cross country, and I just thank God I'm still alive because of the stuff we did when I was 19 with a bunch of friends, and we just had the gas on the floor, on the ground, like it was like a brick going, probably like 120, but it was like a Honda Accord in the desert in Colorado. So stupid, the stuff we did. I mean, I'd be aghast. My kid was doing that.
I would think parts would be flying off that Honda Civic if you're going that fast.
It's a Honda Accord. It was a new Honda.
Okay.
It was a decent car, but it was at the time in 1990. But
all right, interesting here again. Like I said, with 4 quarterbacks going off in round 5. Now we're getting a little bit of the tight end run here after the top 3 went off. We got Hawkinson to start round 6, George Kittle to team 4 there. Darik, anything stand out other than these hookups? We do have a few hookups here, like I said. I thought interesting for team 2, he took Hurts right away. He didn't want to even bother with the Chase Burrow hookup. He went for the best quarterback he could get, and Hurts at 23, you can't argue with, right?
No, you can't argue that. I mean, I love Mahomes. I love Hurts. I'm a little off Josh Allen this year, so I'm not going to end up with much Josh Allen. And I don't think I think it's just a product of I believe Damian Harris is going to steal some of that goal line work, and I don't know. I just feel I got a bad feeling about Buffalo this year. I'm just not feeling the Bills vibe. I just feel like their window may have kind of closed. That doesn't say that Josh Allen's fantasy window is closed, but I just something different there this year. So where we are now with these quarterbacks, it's basically these top 8, right? So if you don't get one of these guys, I agree with Chris in some aspects. Like if you're going to wait now it's like you want to wait because you want to sap all that value because now you can grab some amazing, like James Cook just going off the board here. I love that pick.
I just pissed about that. Smodika asshole took Cook. I would have taken Cook, but I like Akers. I feel like Akers was good at the end of last year, and Stafford looks healthy. I mean, Akers was going in like the 3rd round early on before he got in the doghouse. So I like Akers as my second back.
Yeah, James Cook moving on up, and that's a good, you start out with 4 wide receivers and a quarterback. I've been seeing Duke has been doing an awful lot of drafts, and he starts out this way, and he gets either Akers in round 6 or Cook and Akers back-to-back in 6 and 7. So interesting there. And I do like the way, again, Team 8 is building this one.
Yeah.
Let's see about Team 10 if he wants to take a wide receiver at this point.
Yeah,
if he's just going to play chicken.
Here. You gotta start being a little yellow here.
You can play chicken. You can play chicken here.
He's going to be drafting bench players if he plays chicken. So there we go. George Pickens.
Pickens with the highlight reel touchdown this weekend, so he moves on up into the 6th round, right?
Yep. Yes.
Connor.
I thought I told you not to take a second running back until round 15.
Yeah, I heard you, Greg, and I had to do it. Akers to me could be like a 4th round guy. I don't know. There's something like people think the Rams are, they're done. And McVay's still a great offensive coach. Stafford looks healthy. Kupp is healthy now. I mean, he's a little dinged up, but he should be back. I think the Rams might have an above average offense. And if they do, and Akers is the lead back, I just think round 6 is too late for him.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk on the chat here about Ramondre Stevenson. Some saying he's going too high, some saying not going high enough. What are your thoughts, Chris, on Stevenson? You probably don't have any shares of him, but what are your thoughts on him?
I like him. I would consider him. It's just that where I was drafting, I kind of would like him at the end of the 3rd, early 4. Mm-hmm. They signed Zeke, and I think that might be good because it means they didn't sign Cook. They didn't sign someone really dangerous to him.
Yeah.
So I think that actually might, be a plus. And I like him. I think he's a good pass catcher. He's not really fast, but he's pretty rugged, and he breaks tackles, and he has good balance. I think he's good. I think he's a good player. I think Belichick likes him too.
Yeah, but it was interesting because all offseason they seemed like they wanted Dalvin Cook or whoever, and it seemed like they weren't sold on Ramondre.
Yeah, but no, I think, Zeke really is, that's a vote of confidence for Ramondre because Zeke is washed, I think. So it's just sort of like an insurance policy, it feels like. Yep,
I think so. All right, through round 6 in 28 minutes. These do not take that long. Darik, you've been seeing these hour and a half, hour and 40 or whatever, sometimes less than that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yesterday's, was it the midday one? I watched a couple yesterday. One was 1 hour and 8 minutes.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, people were just flying.
An hour and 8, $350 per. $1,500 league prize. We pay the top 2, $1,500 for first, $700 for second. Top 2 teams go into the championship round in weeks 15, 16, and 17. Get hot in weeks 15, 16, 17. You could win $250,000.
All right. I think I'm going to get a guy here that I want because of I don't want to table talk too much, but let's just see.
No, you can table talk. It's okay. Elijah Moore.
I like Elijah Moore, but I have him in one league. I wasn't going to take him there, but I like him.
Can I ask about your Giants? You think they got a good team this year?
Yes, I do. I think people are really sleeping on them. I think the total is like 7.5 or something crazy low.
That would be low.
And, they won a playoff game last year. And this is, you win a playoff game. Oh, yeah, you might remember that game, Derek. But the Vikings weren't going anywhere anyway. So
I knew. Yeah, we knew.
but they won a playoff game. And this is when, you take it to the next step. All right, I got two guys I like. I'm going to diversify because I have one of them in another league. So I'm going to take one of your guys and take Madison. I said even I didn't like Madison. I thought he's a huge downgrade from Cook talent-wise. But round 7, ostensibly a decent offense, I felt like, I'm just going to take him. I just take the depth.
All right, I'm going to ask you about quarterbacks because Garrett Wilson goes 16th overall. He's been going 13th overall. And Rodgers is QB 16 in our ADPs. What's the correlation there? Shouldn't the wide receiver who's going to be so good have a quarterback that's also supposed to be at least top 12?
Well, it's because like Lazard and the scrubs, the rest of the Jets are scrubs. So, sometimes you'll be like, well, why is, Brock Purdy not a top 10 quarterback? Because all his receivers are ranked so high. And then you're like, well, that's a good question. But maybe nobody else on the team gets anything. A lot of times, like you have two guys that are good, but then there's like a second tight end that gets 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, a second running back that gets 350 yards and 2 touchdowns, and a fourth receiver, a fifth receiver gets 3. You get like these spread them around teams, and the quarterback gets all the points, like the Chiefs, right? They don't have much, but they have Kelsey and nothing else. But Mahomes is going to get his points, and sometimes it's the opposite. But in Rodgers' situation, I don't see any. I mean, I don't like Lazard as a player. You might, Greg, as you watch him more than me, but I think he's just average. So I don't see anyone there besides Wilson to throw to.
Yeah, no, Lazard's a blocking wide receiver. That's what they're going to miss in Green Bay. He's a great blocker. But no, I know neither one of you guys watched the Packers preseason game, but I actually did. And Love actually looked comfortable in the pocket. He didn't look like this starstruck kid that was bouncing around. He got through his options and stuff. And he hit Dobbs for the touchdown. I mean, Watson's going very, very early, but I've said this from day one. Him and Dobbs were working out in California all offseason. They have this little rapport. On that touchdown pass, Watson was double covered across the middle. The safety went with him and left it wide open for Dobbs. I'm telling you, people are sleeping on Dobbs. I like Christian Watson, but to me, he's going a little bit higher than I would take him, and I'm a Packer fan.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost like the same, not exactly the same, but very similar to what could happen in Minnesota this year with Jordan Addison. People are just not, he's been doing it for 3 years now, but people should not be letting Justin Jefferson beat them like he does time and again. And Greg, you saw last year when Jair Alexander and the Packers did what they did to him. Vikings needed somebody else, and Thielen certainly wasn't that. They had Hawkinson. So I kind of see what you're saying. How you see, Dobbs meshing well with Love. I think you're going to see the same type of with Jordan Addison. With Cousins, because I just don't think you can't let Justin Jefferson keep catching 135, 140 balls a year. That doesn't work.
No, and the Packers still couldn't stop him last year, even though they knew they had to. And like you said, Thielen wasn't going to hurt anybody, but still Justin gets his. Love look comfortable, relax. You can say he didn't play well, Brian, but I mean, he had one bad throw across the middle that he should have hit the tight end, no doubt. The screen pass, he tried to get fancy with a little sidearm, if you will. What he looked good in, getting them out of the huddle, looking over the defense, knowing where he's going. Trust me, he wasn't able to do that 2 years ago for sure. And even last year, he was just calling the plays. They were always getting the snap off at the last second. Just those little things are very helpful. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a story or watch Watson here go off in the 8th round. I was at Rodgers' first game when he was a starter preseason. It was against Cincinnati. He looked so shaky. He hit James Jones for a touchdown pass, and from that point on, he just felt comfortable. I don't know what it was, but I think this preseason touchdown pass to Dobbs, where he waited in the pocket, saw his second receiver, that could go a long ways for a young quarterback. I don't think he's fantasy relevant, of course, but from a Packers standpoint, I'm ready to move on. That's for sure.
All right. Know. It could be useful. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
All right. This all started because I planted the Rodgers seed in your head.
I'm not against taking him as my QB. I do have the stack, and those are the stacks that people don't, what if Rodgers, reprises? It's only 2 years ago he was MVP.
Absolutely.
It's like,
absolutely.
And what if Wilson is the number one receiver because he's got the MVP quarterback and he's the guy? It's crazier things have happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we're seeing a little run on running backs. Again, I kind of said the rounds 5, 6, and 7. And again, team 8 proved that, where he kind of waited on running backs, got Cook and Swift. Not sure if you like that or not, but it seems like 2 double-digit guys, and nothing wrong with that when you get 4 wide receivers beforehand. But you're also seeing Alvin Kamara. Derek, where are you seeing Kamara goes? He goes 82 right here. He hasn't really moved up since that 3-game suspension.
He has not moved at all one way or the other. I mean, he's
Yeah.
literally going in the same spot he was. And I was a guy that thought he was going to get 6 games. So when it came out that he was only going to get 3, I thought that would – I guess maybe other people were only thinking he was going to get 4. And then if you're thinking 4 and it's 3, it's probably not much of a game changer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, everyone was saying maybe 4 to 6, but I think most people felt 4 was going to be the number. So 3, I guess, just didn't move the needle at all there.
And you got those 2 other guys there too. So, I mean, it's not like they went anywhere or that we didn't know. So it's like it'll be interesting to see how they play that all out. I honestly wish they would have signed Kareem Hunt as well. That way I could have stayed away from all of them because it just wouldn't have been enough ball to go around. Now that they didn't do that, I guess there's spots to be grabbing all 3 of those Saints running back at some point.
Is Hunt coming to Minnesota, or what's the deal there?
He left without a contract. I hope not.
Okay.
We don't need that. Because
he's left multiple places, though.
God damn, Modica is just killing me, man. He just snaked me again. Like, 1 pick to go. It's not like I'm hoping for this stuff 5 picks to go. It's 1 pick to go. I was looking at Zay Flowers. That was the guy I wanted. Now I got to rethink this for a minute.
He's just loving this right now in Nashville.
Super annoying, though. Super, super annoying. And I got to look at some of these guys that I don't really like nearly as much. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to reach a bit because it's the guy I want. And there's always guys afterward that I could want later, but I'm going to take Jameson Williams.
You want him for weeks 15, 16, and 17.
Well, I want him because, I think that's a guy who could be a top 15 receiver skill-wise. And, and as long as I have people to start in the first 6 weeks, it's no problem that he's suspended. So, I missed out on Flowers, but I wasn't going to miss out on – because if you wait, you can't – especially when these guys are being a little bit aggressive with ADP. Yeah, you don't want to be, snaked on that. So
Williams was so good at Alabama, but boy, he's going to have to turn it on here pretty soon. I don't know if you saw the preseason game, but he kind of dropped an easy one that was for a long one, and the Lions fans let him know about it. So they've kind of say put up or shut up here pretty soon because now you're suspended for 6 games and you can't catch any passes in preseason. So
yeah, he's like a Jamar Chase,
Yeah.
like,
I was going to say I'm old enough to remember when Jamar Chase was dropping balls too.
Yeah, but he wasn't suspended for 6 games.
No.
That's when the fans start getting on him a little bit.
There is a definite knucklehead factor there, Chris. I don't know if you take that into consideration at all, but
yeah.
Right. What do you do? Just bet on his team? That's all right. I don't mind that. It's like you gotta figure out which knucklehead. It's like the guy smokes weed or bets on his team. Fine. If the guy's like committing domestic violence, that's the knuckle. That's the knucklehead that's going to end up in jail. He's going to end up in jail. This is different. So,
I think it's just a part about getting caught after all the stuff went down with Calvin Ridley.
It's dumb. Yeah, it's dumb as hell. I mean, he's dumb, but hey, I'm not bringing them in to split the atom here. I just wanted to catch some touchdowns for him.
Come on, Ridley's a knucklehead move when you do a 6-team parlay, right?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to take a guy that I think is good, and I don't really need this position, but I'm going to just do it for depth. I'm going to take AJ Dillon. I think AJ Dillon's good, and I remember saying this to Jeff Erickson when we went over the Stake League, and he's like, "Oh, Dillon sucks," and I was like, "I don't know. I think he could catch." Aaron Jones is getting old, and I think it could be sort of the end for Aaron Jones this year easily. This could be that year where he just doesn't have it and it's over. And for Dillon to take over, he was comparing him to Ron Dane, the big thighs, but no real burst.
No.
So I like AJ Dillon. What do you think about him, Greg, as a Packers guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to split an awful lot, 50-50, pretty close there. And I agree with you. Dillon, his hands are much better than they used to. He should get 30 catches or so. And they're going to run. This is going to be a run-first offense. I hope everyone realizes that. That's why Love's not going to throw it all over the place. There's going to be play action, but they've got to run the ball first. Honestly, their offensive line looked really good, but their backup linemen are really bad. So if they can stay healthy, and that means keeping Bakhtiari healthy, they could have a good year. Dillon and Jones both could have good years, I think.
Yep.
But he's not like Ron Dane, because Dane kind of got fat when he got to the pros. I mean, Dillon is not that guy. Dane was slow, but he was just so much bigger in college than anybody else. When he got to the pros and he was slow, and then he put on a little weight that just didn't translate.
Yeah, I know. That comp is, it's also hurtful to me that someone would say that, because I'm a Giants fan too. We wasted
That's
a
right.
first round pick on him. But yeah, no. So now my team's a bit running back heavy, right? Because I went running back. I was going all the receivers, but I'm a little green heavy. But I like it because I got the backs where the getting was good, right? Yeah, you can get lucky and get somebody who's gonna, there'll be an injury ahead of him and he'll end up starting. But I feel like I got into that range where I got starting running backs, or Dylan, who's, a timeshare, like a solid timeshare. And now I'm into the, the other positions now. So, when I'm looking at this draft, it's, it's not been an easy draft. The people are taking guys that I like, but it's positionally, I feel good about it. Like the call of taking the running back in the first round over the receiver, things like that you have to make during the draft.
Yeah. As soon as you tweet out your recap, I'm going to say you had too many green stickers early.
Yeah, well,
I had advised you, and you did not take my advice. So the hell with you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to say I'm looking at Team 8 again, and I know this is Matt, but Kincaid, all the talk. I know he's a rookie tight end. They don't produce as rookies, but boy, they're going to use him out wide a little bit, and Zay Flowers to go along with those 4 wide receivers. I think Team 8 is building something pretty interesting there at the very least.
Yeah, I thought, I was pissed at him for taking Flowers from me, but I thought he might take a third back because, Cook and Swift are, actually have quite a bit of upside in PPR with his receivers and QB. But I like to get, if I'm going to do that, I like to get 3 or 4 of them because, obviously those guys you can't, especially Swift, you can't really count on. Yeah. But we'll see. He's going to come back and get some running backs later, I'm sure, for some depth.
Yep,
only absolutely. 2 teams without quarterbacks now, Chris. You're still obviously one of them. How is this playing into your strategy at this point?
Totally fine. I mean, there's just so many left, and I'm not really, I'm not sweating it at all yet. I might even wait another round. We'll see what's there. What are we in round 10 now? Yep. Usually I get them 12, 13. I got Cousins and Richardson in one. I got Rodgers and Wilson in another. There's just guys, again, if it goes like last year, I had some leagues that were ruined because I had Rodgers and Wilson. Yeah. And it was like, those guys were giving me like 9 points and, that's not going to cut it. But I think I can get some, 25-point guys here week in, week out, mix and match and, and profit from not spending up on QB, but we'll see.
Brian's asking, who is the number 2 wide receiver for the Jets? Well, probably Lazard, right?
I think it's Lazard.
That's not good for the Jets then. I know Lazard. Lazard's a good, tough player and great on special teams and good blocking and stuff, but he needs to be more than your number 2 wide receiver. I mean, I think the Packers are better off with Watson and Doubs right now. There goes Doubs in round 9. So, yeah, his ADP is like right around 104 or something like that. So, Team 3 puts them back together. Doubs and Lazard are back together right there.
Yeah, he has to get Rodgers later. Yeah, Dobbs to me though just seems like just the guy, right? Like he's there, he's okay, he can run a route, but he's not gonna make the big plays. He's not gonna be the red zone guy. They're gonna run a lot. I don't know. I'm not so interested in him.
Okay, we're gonna have a side bet on Dobbs then because
Sure.
He runs a lot of crossing patterns, which is what they want to run this year. I think I agree with you. I mean, he's not. Although he's come down with some back shoulders in the end zone, he even did last year against New England. He's got some talent. Don't sleep on this kid. He started, I think, 4 years at Nevada. I mean, he's played a lot of football. Keep an eye on Dobbs. I think we'll have to look up the over-under on receptions and take a side bet there.
Sure.
Dobbs is the kind of guy you're okay missing on, even if he hits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like if you're fading Christian Watson and then the guy just blows up and you have no shares of Watson. It's a different story with Dobbs.
Yeah, he's not going to get a double-digit touchdown total or anything like that. But yeah, he could definitely be 70 receptions, close to 1,000 yards, and handful of touchdowns probably. Are you playing the $1 million survivor pool this year?
No, because I didn't make it to Vegas, and you have to sign up in person. And you can't, I can't just like give Jeff money and say sign up for me. You need to go with your ID and sign up. And it's a problem. I'll be in, some smaller pools, obviously, and I'll write about it this year, but it's a problem. And also I need to get into some sort of super contest type thing because I know, and I was telling Jeff this, what's going to happen when I'm terrified of is I'm going to pick 5 games a week and I'll pick like 70% on these 5 games. And I'll be like, this is $1 million I just flushed in the toilet because I couldn't get to Vegas and sign up. So That worries me.
A real man flies to Vegas from Lisbon.
It's not a direct flight. It's a lot of travel.
Can you imagine how many people they would have for that contest if they would allow you to just sign up online? Let's say, they allowed it. Just tax it. What's the federal government worried about? Just tax it and everybody wins.
It would be like the $60 million survivor pool, you know? It'd be
sure.
hard to win, but if you won it, it would be like the lottery, basically.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I had this idea. This is before DFS in like 2003. I was talking to Pete about it. I was like, why is there a lottery where you pick random numbers? You should be able to just pick players, or pick team. It should be like a skill-based thing. Yeah. And it would, everybody would buy a ticket if it was like, if you had to pick a DFS lineup for, $200 million, everybody would stop by the 7-Eleven to get a ticket.
It's so stupid. Why don't they just allow it and tax it? I mean, I'm old enough to know that gambling was bingo at the church hall, right? And you could only do bingo. Then they went to lotteries. Ooh, now lotteries. Well, if we do lotteries, why don't they just let us pick a survivor game or pick that, for crying out loud? Stupid.
All right. Modica did not do it to me this time. And I was trying to pretend like I didn't care which quarterback I wanted, but that was bullshit. I wanted to get Daniel Jones, and I didn't. But look, I could have got him in round 9. I thought about it. I was like, I could get him just from round 9, just get him because I don't have him, and I just get him. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get him. His ADP is another 6 picks after this, so I'll pay up a little bit. I'm not going to pay through the teeth just because these nutless monkeys won't give him to me, but they did give him to me. So
Team 11 might have taken him after you, so you jumped him. See, Henry wins. He knew which quarterback you wanted, and you got him for sure.
Thank God. Now I got the Waller Jones. That's the stack.
Oh,
you guys think the stack is Mahomes, Kelsey? You guys don't know shit. It's Jones. It's Jones and Waller. Jones
now
and
I'm liking this team more. Now I'm liking it a lot more. Now that you point that
out.
Now you
see the light.
Yeah. You just realized that yourself. No.
I was going for that.
Just came on right now.
No. This is the plan all along. I got to look at some other guys here. Okay,
I think we ought to do more live streams like this. What do you think?
I'll do them whenever you want. I mean, I'll draft. That's the thing. Yeah. But I got to take a look at some of these guys.
Darik, did you see that Chris is leading his main event league because Dusty's his co-manager?
I've seen that. I follow. I get his Substack, so I read it all. The state of the state. So yeah.
The state of the state is good.
Can you tell me what the percentage is? Because I want to tell you you're cheap, whatever it is.
Oh, it's 50-50.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It's a lot of work to do the main event. It's harder than the onlines because you got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
And there's just more maintenance. You can't really, you don't have like 3 extra guys on the bench that you could use. It's like everything is. He's done a great job. When the season's over, I'll tell the whole story. I've held back on some of the details because I don't want to do any jinxing. But when the season's over, I will get the whole story out.
It's a great story. It's a great story, and like you say, you're never going back. That's the way to go.
I'm never going back. Now that I realize it, and even the other guys, like one of them's in 3rd, the other 2 in 6th, they're all making moves. They're competent. It's not like, there's no it's serious, so
that's great.
That was what I didn't know, if I could get people to really do it. And I did, and they are.
All right. Great. Everybody's got a quarterback now. Team 11 takes Kirk Cousins. And interested with Team 12, we talked about this. He got those 2 running backs and just really hammered the wide receivers, got his top quarterback, got a stack with Williams and Herbert, got a pretty good tight end. So very interesting there. And then Gainwell, who's getting all kinds of interest now, right? Because he's apparently running with the ones in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that sounds like BS to me, that whole hype thing. Okay, Beckham just went. I love Beckham, but I don't think he's ever getting it back. All right, I'm going to do something. You know what? I'm going to take this guy that I would have taken. I got talked out of him once. I'll take this guy. See, there's still so many good quarterbacks left, but I got mine. So I'm going to take Rondell Moore. Someone was like, oh, he's just kind of like a scat, slot gadget guy, just sort of a trick player. And maybe, but Marquise Brown gets hurt a bunch. He's a little guy. That's really it, right? There's not a whole lot there.
No.
So, and Rondell Moore's in year 3. He's still young enough to do something. So I was on him, and then somebody made a comment like, "Oh, I've watched his tape, and if you look at him, he doesn't really have much. He's just a good college player." But sometimes you get pushed off of your leans by reading something, and you don't even realize it. You're like, you absorb it. You're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I don't like him anymore." So we'll see.
Whatever the under is on the Cardinals, I'm taking it, though. I have to believe they got to be in line for the number 1 pick. I mean, Kyler is not coming back early. He is going to make sure he's 100%. That injury happened in December. I think I'm way off that team.
All right, there's a guy I like better than, well, we'll see if this comes back around and bites me. There's a guy I like better than Moore, but his ADP is much lower. But when you get in round 11, 12, it's a dangerous game to start looking at ADP, because the difference, if you were doing an auction, the difference between a 12th rounder and a 15th rounder is $1,
Sure.
So it's not like you should get your guy. So I think this guy will be there around 12, but now I'm like made myself a little nervous.
Yeah. Now you just jinxed yourself.
Yeah. Because Mingo went, and Mingo goes much later too. But I mean, he's right to take him. It's like,
yeah. All right. I'm going to throw one more question on here, and you got to be political. Don't be naming anyone. Of the 4 guys you hired for fantasy baseball, who's the worst?
Nobody. There's nobody who's done a bad job. Every single guy. If there was if there was a guy who was slacking hard and like I had a problem with and I had to take over, I would totally say who it was. but I have to give these guys. First of all, I need them the last 6 weeks. Okay? So I'm not going to talk shit, right?
Yeah.
They're all still like even the worst team is somewhat in contention.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, no, I'm happy with everybody. I feel like they're doing the work and they all know baseball. There's not like somebody who has no idea what he's doing. So I didn't know how the experiment would go, but again, we have 6 weeks left, but so far like an A+ on this experiment. Like I'm never going back. And you guys should have a business. There should be a line of business where, Dusty, gets like the highest stakes, the biggest cuts, but like, where you have a bunch of people who just, they love this, they live this, and they're doing all the work anyway. All the
Trust
research.
me, there are people that do that already. Sean Childs and plenty of other guys. Right.
And they, and as the stakes get higher and you get some of these things that are, 5,000 a buy-in, 10,000 a buy-in, you had a guy, and I mentioned him, this guy, David Einhorn. I don't know if he still plays,
Sure does.
but he's a big time investor.
Yep.
And his teams, he knew a lot of baseball. We used to have lunch with the guy, and he would, but his teams wouldn't do well. And I was like, he probably doesn't care. It's not enough money for him, but he needs someone like that, to pay the guy half and to run it, and the fun is the research anyway for me, so.
Yeah. David is a billionaire, and actually he's doing pretty well. I just was looking at MTM Ultimate League. I think he's 5th in a really tight league, that one is. But yeah, David drafts with his brother and his son, and so I think it's a way to keep together as a family. Looks like Comeback Kid is one of your guys who is helping you in baseball. He says that's probably me, the worst guy.
Which is Comeback Kid, though? I don't know. I don't know what his real name is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He was waiting for you to say, "Oh, this guy's really bad. He's the one who's screwing
up." No one's
done
a bad job. No one's done a bad job. All the teams, worst 2 teams are in 6th, but I'm saying by early September we're going to be in 3rd, 4th, and just put pressure on the. And I write Dusty gets a lot of glowing reviews because that's the team that's in first place, and of course it's the main event team. But I'll write a nice review about any of these guys if they step up and we get some cash.
There you go. All right, Team 1's our first guy who has taken a backup quarterback. Tua goes there as QB 13. So interesting there. A lot of tight ends we're going here in rounds 10 and 11. Laporta, boy, there's a lot of good press. Again, it's early and it's a preseason and stuff, but he could be the number 2 option in Detroit, it sounds like. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's possible. I think that rookie tight ends rarely do anything. I think Kincaid might be the exception because not only is the buzz off the charts, but they don't really have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
They've got Diggs, who's a target hog, and they've got Gabe Davis, who was a bust, but I guess he hurt his ankle or something last year.
Yep.
But you might be looking at the number 3 target in Buffalo, and there's Zeke Elliott, which I have no interest in. But yeah, so that's I can see it.
I think your wide receiver must still be out there because not many of them have gone off, or at least I think you're looking at a wide receiver. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. You haven't jinxed yourself yet, have you?
I haven't. No, I haven't gotten. He hasn't gotten taken yet. But then I can maybe wait because I also like another player too, and then I'm really pushing it. But it's all right. It's not really pushing it. It's just for people who don't do this a lot, ADP matters a lot in the early rounds. You don't want to take a guy who's got an ADP 5th round in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Right.
You could get snaked, but in that point you say, okay, you got me. But as you get to round 12, 13, just because a guy goes a little later, that doesn't mean you should wait because the difference is minimal and you're just going to be pissed that, the guy you want is gone. So let's see. I like Jalen Hyatt. That's not the guy, but I do like Jalen Hyatt.
The way I'm looking at it, these guys are all droppable at some point to me from this point on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just you get your guys, and the opportunity cost is very, very minimal, even in round 12 for me. I mean, you'll start to see guys take kickers and defenses now, and I don't even actually have a problem with that because if they're your, I'm a guy that just hates streaming defense because I'm just terrible at it. I'm just awful at it.
I don't mind.
I don't have a problem when guys go up and get the top defenses, and then you don't have to spend any money on it either, other than, maybe $1 on the bye week. And it's sometimes there's been years where I've spent freaking $150 to $200 on just trying to stream defenses. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm no better than probably the 8th or 9th best defense anyways, that I could have drafted in round 16 and not, spent $1 on.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. That's how I am too. I want to get that team kicker out of the way. And speaking of team kicker, we haven't had a kicker taken yet. Oh,
quiet. Be quiet.
All right. Let's talk about your backup. Hey, this is what happens when you come on national television, for crying out loud.
I got scolded by, Jules McLean in a live draft. I think I was talking kicker. It was like 18th round. And I was like, no one took that kicker. And she was like, shh, be quiet. She was pissed. Table talking the kicker in like round 18. I got scolded by her at the live
As
draft.
you should have been scolded. All right, come on. Talk about this backup quarterback. You had a chance to hook up with Rodgers. Said no. Richardson, you've got on another team. Lots of upside with him, right?
Yeah, I just off the chart. I mean, who knows? He could be a total bust, and especially with the 6 point. This is a passer-friendly QB format. It doesn't favor the running QBs quite as much, but I just feel in round 12. You got to swing for the fences of the guy. Justin Fields is going in round 5. This guy could easily be Justin Fields this year.
Yeah.
And so that's who I want as my second QB. So
yeah, and I think if we can get Jonathan Taylor in camp, I think they said he was going to be. He went 22nd here. That helps. Without Jonathan Taylor, you don't want a rookie quarterback there who can't play action, can't run some boots if you want. I mean, he needs Jonathan Taylor there, and I'd feel better if he's got him there from week 1.
All right, so we'll see. I mean, I've got a guy in mind. We'll see if he makes it. Chase Brown's a good pick. I mean, Joe Mix is on trial right now or something. I think like nobody's like really paying attention to that, but these things happen quick. You saw what happened to Wander Franco in baseball. I mean, you can get. I mean, I got him in 3 leage's. So I mean, I didn't price that risk in.
Yeah,
but that was a risk I didn't even see it coming. But so
I don't think anybody did.
I mean, geez, I got to dive deeper into some of these guys. Okay, I got my guy here. Here's my guy. The guy I love. I think this guy, Alec Pierce. Now I paired him up also with Richardson. I think this guy showed something as a rookie, which is rare. He was in a terrible passing game last year with Matt Ryan was bad. But when rookie receivers show something, especially in a bad situation, and then he's been sharp in camp this year. I think this is a breakout guy, and I think he might be better than Pittman. And so that was the guy I was like, I took Rondale Moore because he goes so much earlier, but I was kind of like, maybe I should have just taken him.
I like that pick too. I mean, I think he's got a lot of talent. He's a guy who can jump high, get the ball in 50-50 positions. Yeah, and you might as well load up on some Colts, puts your money on the Colts. So, yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I just thought you were going a totally different way. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I need some receivers because I got the 3 starters and I got a running back in my flex, but Jameson Williams not playing till week 6. I might need Alec Pierce or Rondale Moore to play for me. And so I need, I got to build some of this up, some of this depth.
Dylan's going to be in your flex. Don't worry about it. All right, Darik, we know you have to go to your son's football practice, but before you leave, you have to rank Team 9 and compare them to Team 8 then.
Team 9 and Team 8, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Your fantasy pros, give a grade to Chris, Team 9.
Well,
and nothing wishy-washy either.
Fantasy pros would give Chris maybe a C+ and would give Matt probably a D. Because
okay, so that means we're both good. We're in good shape.
Yeah, so you should love your teams at that point. Yeah. Taking a quarterback that high will slam you on the Fantasy Pros grading system. So Chris waited longer. It will probably penalize Chris for taking a tight end so early. Even though I love the pick, I'm just telling you what Fantasy Pros grade he gets. So when we're done, we'll see how close I get. But
All right,
you're
how
right. I
about
do
your
have to
grade?
go
What's your grade then?
on these.
Yeah.
I like them both. I like the way Chris started. Like I said, I like that hero running back coming out. But the way Matt did it too, it comes back and gets he's got 4 wide receivers. He's gonna feel comfortable starting every week unless something crazy happens. You got a couple of pass catching backs with humongous upside. Throw in a tight end like Kincaid, and you got the upside there. He's gonna have to go out and get another tight end to just maybe feel not so rookie there. But I like both teams. Again, I see so many of these draft boards that it's like it's hard to say, man, this team's it's just I've seen so many builds, but no, I think both are doing great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, that's the beauty of this year is you can build it any different way. I mean, you start out with 2 running backs we see with Team 3 and Team 12. Love what Team 12 did there. Team 3, too, getting 3 good wide receivers. You can wait on quarterbacks. You can go on quarterbacks early. You can stack. You don't have to stack. I mean, there's just so many ways to do it this year, which is why it's so fun. And I will tell you, Chris, and Darik will tell you, we are on pace for just a huge year in the RotoWire Online Championship. I mean, people are just diving into these 350s and multiple ones, especially on the weekend, 6 a day, 7 a day. It's just unreal. It's going to be a great finish.
Yep. All right, guys, I got to hop off. Thanks for having me on, Chris. Good as always. Good to talk to you, and I want to see the first purple sticker.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, have fun at practice.
Thanks, Darik. Take it easy, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll see ya. All right, we got rid of him finally. Holy cow, right? Yeah. Now, Darik and Tom are watching so many drafts and seeing these builds. It's great to get these guys on and talk about what they're seeing going on.
Dude, I watch these. If someone on my Twitter feed is streaming a draft, I watch it. And I know I shouldn't because it's polluting my process, but I like watching a draft. It's ridiculous. It's just some people drafting. But I like seeing the stickers come out. It's just something very satisfying about it. Being like, oh, look where he went. That's surprising. There's something about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I started watching this and I was like, boy, can we get this technology? And we did, we did a couple last year, but this year I said, you know what? I want to flood the zone. I want to do one every night. In fact, we got 2 today. We're going to have a Billy Waz one at 10 o'clock tonight. And you can tell people want to watch one of these. Yes, they love reading content. They love listening to the radio. But this is all just transforming, isn't it, to where you can sit and watch a $350 draft with $250,000 on the line.
It's much more real because I can say whatever I want, but when my pick comes up, and the clock's winding down, I got to make a choice. And you see the choice I actually made, not whatever I was talk is cheap, right? And now I actually have to execute on this. And then you see the result of the team build, and I can say, oh, well, this is who you should get, and this is how you should draft. And then my team build doesn't work because, I was just unlucky in round 7. There were no running backs left. Well, too bad, that you should have, looked at the ADP board and accounted for that in advance. And so it really, I think in a way that goes a bit deeper than just sort of idle speculation about where you should take different players.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, it's such a competitive field in the content space. You know that at RotoWire and such. And I'm seeing some pay content sites doing staff mock drafts right now. And I'm thinking, dude, mock drafts are done. I mean, people don't rely on mock drafts anymore. I don't care if you got 12 staffers. Get 12 staffers in a best ball 10s league then, so there's some money on the line or something, and do a live stream of that. And I just think the industry has transformed where they don't want mock draft results anymore, right?
Yeah, that was just, a long time ago. Just something that had its day. And this is it, right? I mean, watch real drafts. I could do a lot of drafts. My issue is the management, but football I do myself. I don't need to split it with anybody because it's tolerable, but I'm not going to do 15 leagues or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Nelson Sousas deal with it. I mean, football is easy, but when you have, 100 leagues, I don't know how you do all the moves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we have to do the software better. We've got to keep improving Fab, and Fab is much better, but, we've got to try and make it easier. Even set lineup this year is all on one page, actually. You can have an all set lineup page. And so let's say somebody goes on, they're not playing on Sunday. Let's say Fields was questionable and now they took him off. You can search for Fields and it'll show you every team he's on. You can quickly do that. Otherwise, you'd have to go into a team, look for him. No, he's not on that team. Damn it. Go on another one. Now on one page, you can search for that. So hopefully we can save people time doing that.
Yeah, the time it takes to load pages and stuff is a bottleneck. All those things,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, your software is great. I mean, it's the best. But even for baseball, I can't deal with it, and I had to outsource it because baseball, that's the only real. I think you need a human. The AI is not good enough yet. You know, I mean, you need, you know.
Yeah, that's what we do need, an AI and Fab. Who should I pick up for this guy? Boom, he's right there, right?
It would do a terrible job. It might like build you like your list, you know, initial list,
and then let you do it. Yeah.
You know, and then let you do it. All right, let's see what Modica's doing here.
All right, we are waiting on your pick. We're not even going to talk anymore. Just concentrate. Think good vibes.
All right, that's a good pick, Justin Ross. But what it does, and Modica is a good man because he could have really hurt me there.
Boom! There you go, Justin Tucker.
He could have really done some damage to me there, but he let me have it, so I'm happy now. Now I'm happy. Now that's all I needed.
Now you don't even care about the last 6.
Oh, who cares? Yeah, this is
all right.
Why do you Ross love is a good
Justin
pick.
Tucker so much?
He's the best kicker of all time. Every other kicker, you never know. You know, it's Evan McPherson's great 2 years ago. He's not so good last year. You don't know year to year. There's one guy who's in the top 5 every year.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, he's the best. Hey, that's right. Brian says Deuce Vaughn goes here in round 14. I'm not even sure what his ADP is or if he was being drafted in RotoWire Online Championships, but he looked pretty shifty this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, you just take your guy, right?
Yeah.
Any one person has the same idea as you, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So just take the guy.
Yeah.
All
like
right.
Derek said, all these guys are cuttable after this point. Obviously, you need a defense and a kicker, but hey, roll the dice. That's like Justin Ross, right? Who knows what could happen there in Kansas City? He's in a great offense. He's playing well. Why not at this point?
That could be the number one, you know, non-Kelsey, the number one outside wide receiver. I mean, there's nobody who owns that yet. You know, Tony is hurt. He's always hurt. And then you got Sky Moore, and he was nothing last year. You know, I mean, is he going to develop? Rashee Rice, a rookie. I mean, we really don't know. So in round 12, it's a good pick. Round 14, it's a good pick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I got to ask you, do you miss the SiriusXM Daily Show at all?
I do a guest spot, you know, with Jeff once a week, and that scratches the itch. Like I don't need to talk about the shit 2 hours a day. It's the same freaking conversation over and over again. You know, I would go and talk about the solar system, and people would get mad because, you know, what's he doing? He's going on a lecture about the solar system. We were talking about running backs. I would do that because I would get, you know, I can't just talk about the news of the day. Zeke Elliott signed, you know. I remember Matt Deutsch. Okay, you know, push the Zeke Elliott news. It's like, who cares? Like everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows it's not really a big deal, and everybody's talking about it. So I'm not going to talk about it, you know, or I'll mention it, but I'm not going to keep talking about it. So I don't miss it. I don't miss having to have an appointment where I have to be somewhere every single day. But you know, I still like doing the spot, and I could do one a week for an hour. Maybe I could do that, something like that. But every day was too much.
Yeah, it is a grind, no doubt about it. In fact, I don't do the Wednesday nights every week anymore either. Derek and Tom are doing it because when you're trying to do a regular job and do that, it's just kind of tough. And but it's fun, you know, obviously, and our reach on SiriusXM. I mean, I've always said most of our new customers come from either the radio show or the spots we did on your show. People heard about it and wanted to sign up and play, and you guys did a big job. We're a big part of our growth, no doubt.
Well, we were just into it, you know. It's better than paid advertising. You give us the free entries, but it was better than paid advertising because we were into it. So we were just talking about it like all the time because that was the high stakes league that we were in. You know, and so that fucker took Paris Campbell. That hurts. That was my pick next. Okay, I got another guy, but that was the guy I really wanted to pair up with you know, with Daniel Jones and Waller, and you throw in Paris Campbell. He'll probably be hurt. But I like Campbell. Campbell, he showed a little something before he got hurt last year yet again.
Well, see, Brian, this is who he thought it was going to be. It was going to be Paris Campbell. That's why he dropped an F-bomb, because he thought it was going to be Paris Campbell.
Yeah, so. I mean, you know, I think it'll probably, you know, Hyatt's going to get the deep looks. Yeah. Campbell, you know, will get some work. Sterling Shepard's healthy for this second. And so that won't last long. All right, I got a couple of guys I really like here.
Look at Team 10 banging those running backs. 7 running backs in the first 15 rounds.
I'm going to take this guy because I think it's too late for him. He sucks, and I've overdrafted this guy every year. But, I mean, Pacheco is just a guy, and he's a 7th-round pick. And then you've got McKinnon, who's 32 years old, who's been hurt 100 times. And then you got Edwards-Helaire. Now, maybe Dalvin Cook or someone like that. ends up in KC, and okay, I'll drop my 15th round pick. But I think that's too late for CEH, who could be the Chiefs starting running back, to be available.
In the auction league with Derek and Tom, I got him for $1 at the end, and I thought he'll be my first cut. But I want to see. I just want to get through the preseason and see. And they're saying that he's actually playing pretty well, but everybody's on McKinnon because of the finish last year, right? And everyone's on Pacheco, although they're kind of lukewarm on Pacheco. He goes 7th round here. So CEH is not a bad dart throw at this point. I will say that.
Yeah, I think he's going to I don't know if he's going to do anything, but I do think you look for these unstable situations. There's nobody there. If Pacheco lost the job by week 4, nobody would be like, oh, how could he lose the job? It's not somebody that they invested in or they care about at all.
Right. Or could be injured. He was slow to come into camp from an injury. So yeah, anything could happen there.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at a couple positions, but I'm pretty much good. Obviously I need a defense. I could use a second tight end.
Yep.
But I don't have any real weaknesses right now. I don't have any problems.
Team 7 with the Chubb Ford handcuff there, and we look at handcuffs for that as well. I don't want to point out, but do you got a handcuff at all or not?
No, I don't believe in it.
Okay.
Algier is long gone, way too expensive. If Bijan goes down, Algier's not going to be Bijan, right? So I'll start Akers and Madison, and Dillon is my reserve, and I'll have enough running backs to get by, but it'll be unfortunate if my top pick goes down for me. Obviously, there's no papering over that with some I got a 16th round handcuff. I'm set. It's no problem. Right. It's a big problem if that happens.
But I will say Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, and he looked pretty good. So I mean, it would make sense if you wanted to handcuff him. I could see.
He's one of the better ones because of the situation, and they will. That Arthur Smith's going to run it, and the line is good, but I'm not going to worry. I'm worried about what can go right, Greg. I'm not worried about what can go wrong.
That's true. And you don't have to worry. Running backs never get hurt. So don't worry about
I'm not worried about a running back getting hurt. He's a beast, rookie.
Dillon's a guy that's not going to get hurt. Those thighs are just too big. I don't think he can get hurt there.
I mean, the thing is, you just can't, because it's 1 in 12 that you win. Yeah. And I'll point out the prime time 1 in 12. Last 2, I won both of them. So I'm trying to. It was 1 in 144.
Wow. What
is it? 1 in 1728. If I do another one, if I can win another one, so most people are going to be disappointed. Something's going to go wrong. It's not going to go your way. So I don't get too conservative with. So I'll get 6th place because instead of 8th place because I had the handcuff.
Right. Yeah. No, go for an upside guy instead, and that's what you did. So it makes sense. So you said you are going to France. Why don't you let people know, or you're going to take off from a little footballing? It seems like.
I'll bring my laptop, but we're going to. Friends have this house, amazing place. It's near Annecy, Lake Annecy in France, in the middle, but the eastern part of France, near Germany and Switzerland, Austria. And it's just like this beautiful house on this amazing lake that you could swim in and go on the boat. And
nice.
And then we're going to drive around and train around all through the countryside, like Strasbourg and Normandy and Brittany, and spend a night in Lyon. So we're going to do the whole kind of non-Paris trip to France and check it out. So that's what we're doing.
Well, it sounds like you don't regret the move to Portugal at all then.
No, Portugal has some really stupid things about it. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's in some ways it's in the 20th century still, but no, there's some, it's nice being here, and we're not leaving in the immediate future for sure.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. We got a lot of dumb stuff over here too.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the world, actually, everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm in the best spot because I'm in northern Wisconsin where nobody wants to be. And so I'm on these lakes, and they all come on the weekends, but then they all leave. But I can still work from up here because I got great internet up here, So today, there's nobody here. I mean, nobody is here. And that's the best life when you have nobody around you.
That's great. And we're trying to do that, build these houses. But one of the things that's horrible about Portugal, it's like a communist country. It's there's 85 bureaucrats that have to sign off on the most minimal house on the same footprint that it existed on for 100 years. It's falling apart. And you're just we're just going to do this on this footprint and make it nice. They're like, well, I don't know. You need to file paperwork with these 8 agencies and wait years for them. So that's one of the annoying things. But yes, I got the same idea. Put a nice office up there, swimming pool, barbecue.
Yeah.
the whole thing. So
Yep. Staying away from people is not a bad idea. I mean, I don't
no,
mind meeting people from time to time, but being in the wilderness away from everyone is pretty damn cool. And I do have a black lab who I walk every day, and he's just the best. So you got
so
to have that.
you got friends up there. You got
I have a friend, my black lab. Yes, my wife. My wife
Yeah.
is up here too.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, we got to run on orange stickers here. I see.
Yeah, I was hoping to get the Patriots, but I knew when I took CEH, the Patriots probably weren't coming back. But that's all right. I think defenses are the most unpredictable year to year.
Yeah.
So I will spend up on Tucker. I won't spend up on other kickers really usually, and I will not typically spend up on a defense.
What number one defense from the year before has ever been number one the year next, right?
I can't think of it. I mean, I'm sure there's been some top threes, I mean, I think that's what you're looking for. You don't need it to be literally the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it's top 3 or top 5, hopefully this guy lasts. Modica. Don't put the knife in the back, Modica. Just pick your own players. Stay away from my players, dude. Let's see.
I'm glad you drafted next to him.
Yeah. Okay, Jaguars. Yeah, that's not a bad pick, but I'm going to take Irv Smith, an upside tight end.
Yeah, there you go.
I just need a second tight end. You can't. Darren Baller, as much of a baller as he is, gets hurt a lot. So
they've been talking. He's been really impressive in camp. I know it's only camp, but the fit is perfect, right? He was disappointing in Minnesota. He goes to a new place, got a good quarterback. He was great at Alabama. I like the upside there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're getting. Yeah, Derek agrees with me. Number 2 tight end. You're getting a guy with 150 targets, 160 targets if he's healthy. You're getting one of those second round receivers in round 5 that qualifies a tight end, basically, if he's healthy. And that's been an issue for him, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Derek Carr actually looked pretty good in his one series yesterday. I don't know if you saw, but there's pictures that he's all bulked up and best shape of his life, and 6 of 8 yesterday with a touchdown.
What's hilarious about Derek Carr? Nobody knows this. I think he ran like a 4.68 40 at the combine, which is faster than Josh Allen, faster than Dak, about the same as like Cam Newton, I think, maybe not quite as fast. And, he's not a running quarterback, but it's just hilarious that he was actually a good athlete. It's not part of his game. He's all right. I think Carr's, he's, but, it depends. We thought Andy Dalton was like in the running for the MVP in 2015, 1 year. It's so situational with these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought he really played down to the level last year, Derek Carr. He lost a lot of close games because he just couldn't do it at the end and stuff. So, I don't know. I lost a lot of faith in him last year. I thought he had the weapons to be able to do better than they actually did last year.
Yeah, but it's tough being the Raiders organization. It's a garbage organization. It's just, it's not a serious. Am I up?
You are.
Okay. So I'm going to do this, even though I don't even look at who they're playing week 1, which is what I normally do. I'm going to take the Ravens defense, and I'll tell you why. That is a stack. Mm-hmm. And I stack Tucker and the Ravens defense. Those things go together. Yeah. When the defense dominates, the kicker dominates. Because if it's 24-0 in the third quarter, they just settle for field goals. They just start, they take the foot off the gas, and it's Tucker time. So if in those playoffs, you have the Ravens, crushing 2 out of 3 games on defense, you're going to get both of those at once. Now, who knows if I'll hold them that long? They may be terrible or whatever. But I think I remember this from DFS that the kicker and the defense is a stack. It's kind of a sneaky stack, maybe with a running back too sometimes.
Interesting. I actually haven't heard anybody say that, but that makes sense. And their bye week is week 13, so you got a long ways before you have to fill in on the bye weeks.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're good. I haven't really looked at it.
Yes, they are. In fact, I just had John Hansen had a beat writer on there, and he said, man, Baltimore's defense has always been good, but they're just not good this year. And the guy said, no, I disagree with you, John. He said, they got a lot of young guys that are playing better, and I think their defense is going to be really solid this year.
Yeah, I think a lot, I think the other thing that people don't think about with defenses, and it's part of why some teams have good defenses, is that the offense matters for the defense. Like if the offense is terrible, like the Jets defense I like this year because Rodgers should make the offense credible. Last year it wasn't credible. So you're on the field the whole time. You're never having a lead where you can pin your ears back and just rush the quarterback. You're constantly getting run against because they've got the lead. You can't rack up fantasy points. Suddenly the offense is good and you're winning some games. Then the good defense can totally dominate. And so, don't just look at who they added on defense. Look at who they added on offense.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I'm going to make this board a little bigger so you can see these last couple rounds. We'll scroll up. Hopefully everyone has seen the first couple rounds. Oops, let me just get on here.
I got to look at the week 1 schedule. Who do the Ravens play week 1?
I do not know.
So, for the draft, I always do this like, at the very end when I'm looking at defenses, I'm like, who do they play week 1? And I use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they're playing the Chiefs, then you got a problem.
Well, that's the thing. Do you ever take into that free look on Thursday? So a lot of people like to add, let's say, the Lions defense or the Lions kicker with one of their last picks, right? Obviously, Chiefs will be gone. Brian says they play Houston.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, now I have to. Okay, well that I lucked into that. I didn't even know.
No, you knew what the hell you were doing.
I forgot. There's another defense I take because they have a great week 1 matchup too that I just take late because it's available. But I don't even need to do that. So
there you go. You got them, and they don't have a bye until week 13. Now, the problem with doing that, though, you're going to have to cut 2 guys during that bye week to get a kicker and a defense.
Yeah, but that's the one thing about the 10-man benches. First of all, Jameson Williams will be back by then, so that won't be dead weight.
Yeah.
You can carry some dead weight in this format. Your NFBC, not so much.
No.
When I first started doing the NFBC, I was talking a lot of shit. I thought I was good. And I got my ass kicked because I had these prospects. I had these injured guys. And you just can't play like that. And so I learned my lesson pretty quickly. But
I think the best thing I ever invented was not allowing more than 7 bench spots in the NFBC main event and no DL because everybody wanted DL. And I just knew the player pool was too thin already. And if you add 50, 60 DL players, there's nothing in the pool there. So I'm glad that I held my way there with that and never gave in to people who really wanted it.
It was good. I mean, the game is really good. I always wonder, like, Greg is, how did you come up with this? You're not splitting the atom over there. How did you figure out, this game that was calibrated so well? And the football one's good too. I say this every year and you don't listen, but you need some QB flex leagues available. Yeah. You need to have do a 500 or 1,000 person, 80 leagues or whatever, 80 leagues, 80 12 teamers, get 1,000 person, a smaller grand prize.
So we do have a flex. We do have the flex leagues, but very few people sign up. And I always said I'll just do the private ones because guaranteeing a grand prize will be tougher. So I think maybe next year what I got to do is just do a grand prize of $5,000 or $10,000 and just start building it, I guess, because there are people who do the super flex. But man, we have so many national contests right now, and honestly, Chris, people don't realize there's pressure right up until the last sign up because you are guaranteeing millions of dollars on 8 national contests. Right. And like right now, hell, we're below water on all of them, right? I mean, the signups are on pace.
Because you got the prime 2 weeks left.
Yeah, we got the prime 2 weeks yet. But right now, it's tough to sleep at night as you're looking at a loss of millions of dollars.
Right. I mean, it's a weird thing because you are like losing right now, but we know every year like how it goes.
We know where we're on pace for. So, but it's people don't realize like, oh, that Greg, he's got her made, man. They sold out this year. Yeah, right. You should have seen me on August 31st. I couldn't sleep that night,
Yeah, I remember RotoWire when I used to just refresh every day. We'd grow, and you'd get 500 new signups, and then you'd see last year was 400. That you'd be beating last year's pace, and sometimes you'd be crushing it. Sometimes you'd be slipping behind it a bit.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing.
All right, Bob asks, how about a single entry with a small grand prize? Bob, we have that contest. This is our 5th year with the NFFC Silver Bullet. Everybody gets one team, 252 total teams. $50,000 grand prize. Entry fee is $1,200. That baby is going to sell out again. Yes, we're the only contest that runs a single entry national championship. 12 teams, 20 rounds, 3rd round reversal, just like this, just a different price point and a different grand prize. I love the Silver Bullet.
And you're going to obviously live stream all of those at some point?
Well, yeah, we've got a live stream Silver Bullet on Wednesday. The ship chasing crew is going to do one. So that's the first one of the year, and they're going to live stream that one. We'll live stream some prime times as well. So what I'm doing is partnering with some industry people. Shipchasing.com, these guys have a huge following. They get hundreds of people to watch them live. And we're doing it with Fantasy Life. Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life is live streaming some. I'm doing a live stream with Jeff Erickson on the 22nd next Tuesday. So yeah, we've been doing it with a lot of people.
Is that your how not to draft segment?
I don't know. Alan's done a couple of them, and he's done a really good job. Jim Coventry's done a couple, and then Jim does some post analysis on his drafts. So yeah, the video is where we're at right now. I mean, we really gotta be in front of people live, if you will, I think, to show people how to do this, and to let somebody like Bob ask a question like that. He didn't even know we have a contest like that. So hopefully it's informative for everyone too.
So one thing that feels good, makes me feel like I did my prep. There's still like a few players I really want to get,
like it. Yep.
you know, and in round 18, that's a good feeling.
Absolutely.
You're not just like, oh, who the hell do I pick? Okay, 2 more picks. I got one guy that I don't even know if he gets drafted, but I think this guy should be drafted. And I think there's upside. I have a philosophy, and after, okay, Modica took the kicker. I'm not going to take a second kicker.
That's right.
I'm taking Jalen Tolbert, Dallas receiver, 2nd-year guy, having a good camp. Brandon Cooks is old. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's the clear number 1. They lost Dalton Schultz, right? So they don't have the tight end there.
Yep.
And they have Pollard, who they're going to throw to a little bit, but Gallup, is he really ever going to be the same? He wasn't even that good before the ACL. They drafted Tolbert. What was he drafted? 3rd, 4th round in real life. 2nd-year receivers. That's when they break out.
Yeah, the Gallup one is interesting because, like you say, he wasn't great fantasy-wise before the injury. Last year, he wasn't the same. He even admitted he wasn't the same. So we'll see if he does bounce back. I mean, the 2nd year off an ACL, they usually are much better. Chris, I'm going to ask you about this. I'm staying away from guys like Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, who had an ACL injury 9 months ago, right? I mean, but people are recovering better. Zach Ertz just said he's a full go 9 months after ACL. I tore my ACL. I know it was a lifetime ago, 1975, but I just can't imagine anybody, their hamstring, their quad muscles are 100% 9 months after having surgery.
I mean, it's possible these guys work a little harder than you did to get back. I think that's one thing to consider.
For sure. Technology today as well.
Yeah, just slightly better than the Frankenstein ligament you have in there or whatever now. No, I'm with you. I'm not taking Breece Hall in the 3rd round or 4th, whatever he's going. I mean, Javonte's in the 6th. He's crept up because he's gotten a good report, and I would take him in the 6th. It's just that I was on the wrong side of the draft, and that half round's kind of, Joe Noack snakes me on the Giants, who played the Cardinals week 2. I've been drafting them because of their week 2 matchup. All right, I'm going to take, this is kind of stupid, but remember, we said, who's the Jets' number 2 receiver?
Yeah.
Maybe it's Mecole Hardman. So,
oh boy, that would be bad for the Jets if he's their number 2.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I mean, he's just go straight to the post. That's it.
Fast. He's just very fast. I mean, if you couldn't get it done with Mahomes, it's probably kind of bleak, but it's round 19.
All right. That's your first cut. I can see it already. That's your first cut. All right. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. I mean, I don't usually go through all 20 rounds, but I was having too much fun with you. This is also streamed on my Twitter. So forward retweet or repost or whatever they call it these days if you want, so that all your people can see it. But really appreciated hanging with you today, and have fun in France, and maybe we'll do one before the start of the season, before we let you go.
I'm always up for it. And if you want to check out what I'm working on in the write up to this draft, realmansports.com, you can find that there. So thanks, man. Take it easy, Greg.
All right. It's a lot of fun. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging with us tonight. We're going to cut it off right here. Chris, enjoy France, like I said, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.